Alrighty. What an interesting week we have had. Coming off a week where we've had absolutely no news for the last several days, it's been hit after hit, and we are going to talk about it. Whether it's that John D Ask Me Anything and potentially two new cabs coming in the next few weeks, or the latest info that 19K Fox dropped that the list could have been real. And of course, we are going to leave you right around the 45-minute, 1 hour mark so we can all jump over to Cornercade because he's got a big scoop that he wants to dish out for everybody. So let's get into it right now. All right, guys, before we get started here, I wanted to just thank everybody for joining us and remind you, if you have not already done so, hit that subscribe button and a like, all that, you know what to do, YouTube stuff. And we have a very special guest joining us tonight. And believe me, this person has working audio, so that will go well tonight. And without further ado, let's just bring them in. Michael B, thanks for joining us. Oh.
Thank you so much for having me on, James.
Excellent.
I appreciate the invitation, my man.
Well, I appreciate you accepting. And, you know, since you're in the thumbnail, I think we have some interesting things to talk about, especially with the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give you a chance. I know everybody knows who you are, but just in case, who are you and what do you do?
I'm a overweight man that works from home and has leeway to sometimes make videos very quickly.
Excellent. So let's just jump right into it. And first up, you know, we have to talk about our two friends over at Arcade1up, right? Cyrus and David here. These are the guys that seem to be running the show over there. And, you know, what do you think of what they've done so far?
I don't think it's fair to say they're running the show. They absolutely aren't. I mean, Cyrus has the role of VP of licensing, and I think that obviously that was a gap that was left after John D left. They decided to give Cyrus the position. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I said this, and this is not a discredit to Cyrus at all, but I mean, when you're dealing with these big companies, Japanese executives, if you don't have the title, they won't see you as somebody to take seriously. So I think a lot of him having that title comes with the fact that they want him to be treated seriously when he has these meetings. As for David McIntosh, I don't know what David McIntosh does. At one point, I thought he was doing the Cyrus thing, like talking to the community, but I don't know. I was told he was working with retailers at one point. I don't know what he does.
Yeah, I thought he had just fairly recently pivoted over to marketing, but I'm not entirely sure.
He came from marketing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this, but David McIntosh, it was this weird thing. The first time we really saw him was at E3 one year, and he was there in the Arcade1up jumpsuit. And then, like, a couple minutes later, he was up in a suite showing Retro Ralph, the At Games Legends Ultimate, because he was working for Chizcom. And anyways, Arcade1up scooped him up. They really liked him, and they brought him into the fold.
Nice. Yeah, when I say they seem to be running the show, it's simply because these two have been the face, right? They're out there in their TikToks. I don't, you know, obviously they have bosses, they have teams of people that are working on these things, but when they get the distinct pleasure of being the face in all their forward-looking, you know, marketing pieces, whether that's these TikTok videos or Instagram reels, you know, they get to be the ones, unfortunately, that get foisted on the community's petard.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like John D was such a vocal part, so whoever is talking on behalf of Arcade1up is going to get the same level of scrutiny under the mic, you know, under the, what is it, the microscope that anybody does. That's why David, who is a natural fit to be doing this stuff, talking to the community and being on these shows, I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't do it. Yeah. I know poor Cyrus really, you know, he was stuck in this role because there was no one else doing it. And I know he doesn't feel super comfortable, especially with like all the backlash and people saying things about him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What did I do?"
Yeah, I mean that's been kind of obvious last year when he was doing all the videos, right? That he's not real comfortable in that role. And hey, it's not everybody is made to get out there, and you kind of have to force yourself to do it and get used to it, get comfortable with
Oh,
it.
it's not that he's not comfortable talking because he can talk. The problem is the reception. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
So the main reason I put them on here is not to really make this about them, but I kind of wanted to hit what what really happened yesterday. And of course, it came out. You guys talked about it on the Super Game Room dudes. It was talked about on a few other streams after that, yesterday and today. But I noticed it yesterday morning, and I thought it was pretty interesting when it happened. And if I can, you know, move here and
Are you talking about when I was fighting with nostalgia?
no, but that was entertaining.
Okay.
So we're talking about this fun stuff. The banner ads, right? That
Yeah.
suddenly appeared all over Arcade1up's website. And really it's an interesting take, right? You know, here's some examples, right? This one covers their entire website, and there's other ones like that. Or these, right? Covering up their own products so you can't even see what they are or click on things.
What are you doing this with? Is this in what is it? PowerPoint? Are you
Yes,
using
this is
PowerPoint to put these arrows in?
powerful,
I knew it.
powerful points. Yes.
Yeah.
As P-Dub
PowerPoint.
said, I'm the number 2 PowerPoint
Yeah.
home arcade YouTuber.
I I think like obviously like this is heavy ads, so you never are going to, hey Stock Jock, good to see you, my man. Love Stock Jock.
Oh yeah.
I it's never a bad thing to monetize your website. It's just this is so heavy-handed and it really takes away from the user experience. Like the fact that I went in last night and I couldn't get the ad off the screen and it was covering up so much stuff. I mean, this is really invasive. Like I don't have any problem with them monetizing their site because they
Yeah.
get traffic and if it helps the company, helps them bring new stuff out, I'm all about it. It's just this is really invasive.
Yeah, and 19K Fox here, right? This is desperation. And I think, you know, those who have been in the role of business, right? When you see struggles, you look at how can you monetize some of your assets, right? So
Everything, yeah.
right. And this is a prime example of that. Hey, we have this website, it's getting X traffic if we put ads on it. But now, on one hand, I understand why you would do it, generate revenue. On the other hand, they've done it so sloppily, right? That it was
It's
like ham-handed. It was just like put
ham-handed,
ads
invasive. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't even like beta tested or anything, as you can like
It's
covering up all their products and links. Like,
it's like they got hacked. Like if you ever like me, like I'll go to a couple sites like to watch wrestling pay-per-views that aren't exactly on the up and up. And this is the kind of shit that pops up, these ads that are all over the place
oh
in
yeah,
your way that you can't get rid of to see what you're doing. And that's what this is. Again, they've really got to balance. There's nothing wrong with monetizing your site if there's an availability,
yeah,
but they've got to balance, that against the user experience. And this really impacts the user experience. So whoever, put this through wasn't really thinking. But then again, I mean, what's their website for right now? They don't do direct to consumer. It's to make people knowledgeable about their products, I guess. So
yeah. I mean, obviously they direct people to the retailers through there, but you got to think for the average person that's Googling it, this is probably one of the first stop, right? That's going to come up when they're looking, say, either Googling the name specifically or specific cabs. They're probably hitting Arcade1up maybe before they're hitting some of the specific retailers. So
So 19K Fox said desperation earlier, and
yeah.
I don't want to kick anybody while they're down, but right now, if they're unable to get product out to retailers, I mean, there's got to be a way they can make money, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
more than likely, maybe this is necessary. I don't know, but it's just it's aggressive, right? So
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's certainly plausible. Like you said, if they aren't making the sales because they don't have a lot of new product out there, that they need to increase revenue in order to keep people employed. Like that's the reality of a lot of situations. But again, it's about the tact, right? I think
Yeah.
if you had the banner ad at the bottom, nobody really would have cared. It's when
No,
it's so interfering in that user experience that it's like everybody's like, "What the hell is going on?"
yeah, Papa Brad's right. I mean, this is massive turnoff for customers because it's
Yeah,
super, super invasive. Two things could have happened. They went for the maximum revenue ad, there, and that's with this stuff, right? Like
yeah.
that usually low traffic. These like illicit sites usually have their ads up like this, or the other option is somebody signed up for this without knowing what they were doing and just you know jam this in there because they didn't
And that
understand how to actually place it properly.
Yeah, quite frankly, based on the screw ups we've seen on their website in the past where things get accidentally revealed, products go live before they want to, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody just took some embed code, threw it in there, and it's just like, boom, there it is.
So
Um,
so like I work for a charity, right? And a
yeah.
really, really small charity. And over the years, we've lost some funding just because government made some changes. So I had to take on a lot of roles. And where once we would have like an IT person and a website developer, I had to like learn how to do that. Like that's one of the things about working for a small charity. Like you have to learn how to do
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
right? So like I'll do the ads sometimes and I'm learning. And I see Arcade1up, and even when Arcade1up was flush, like when John was there, they were doing the charity stream. They didn't have a lot of people, and they didn't have a lot of help. Like we see this massive organization, but it's really like it was always a small shop, and now it's even more small. So there's a possibility also that this isn't even coming from their marketing team. Like this is something like they got Nicole or somebody else in the office to try to figure out and do on their behalf. And
Oh, I
like
wouldn't doubt it.
not a lot of thought went into it. They were just like, yeah, let's monetize the site. Let's put ads up. And it's just somebody just trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to make excuses for them. It could
No,
100% be
no,
they said
100%.
maximum ads, but there's also the reality that someone could have done this who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I think again, I go back to that's probably the most likely thing. What is I forget what the law is, right? But never attribute to conspiracy what can be chalked up to just pure incompetence, right?
Look,
Or
look, look who's in the chat. Someone's alive.
uh-oh. So he's saying they got low traffic. How much can they make? So here's the thing I would say to it, coming from a background in this, right? So I don't know if my background is I used to own a company for years. It was a regional internet provider, so that's my background, and now I work in higher ed for a nonprofit, and
Oh,
so
okay,
I've
cool.
have a
So you're in the
ton.
not-for-profit sector too.
I am,
Hey,
yes.
yeah,
So I have a history in a lot of this stuff, right?
yeah.
Obviously I'm a tech guy, so I'm on the tech side of things, but um, so like I said, you don't chalk up some of the things to conspiracy, which can be just plain stupidity. And when you talk about money on these things, it is so small for banner
Yeah,
ads.
like, I
Yeah,
mean,
like
there's a reason these like small sites do a bunch of it. The big sites don't do that much because like it's even like you're talking like this is not like, oh, this is going to make 20% of our payroll or something like
right.
that. Like we're talking like pennies,
And
pennies.
the way
YouTubers
these
know.
ads, yeah, exactly. And the way these ads are on here, it's very much like clickbaity sites, right? Like the ones that are just trying to hijack every popular trend to just get you to click and bombard you with tons of ads.
You got to click it, and then there's pop up, and then you just got to wait about 10 seconds. You can close that, then you can watch the pornographic video. I mean, order your cab.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to belabor this point, this whole bit too much. It's been talked about, right? But it is just I think it's just more of it encompasses what's been going on, right? Like it just seems like when they do something, it's done ham-fisted without a lot of thought put into it before they do it.
Yeah, it's like it's easy again to kick somebody when they're down,
Yeah.
and this has been a hard year for Arcade1up, and I don't really want to do that. But at the same time, I mean, it could also be looked at better as a sentiment of what they do. I mean, like the way this is done completely hinders the user experience. And it's kind of like that's the way Arcade1up works sometimes. They try to get something out, and the actual user experience of their cab or anything like
Yeah.
that is the last thing they think of. You think about the original, like, X-Men versus Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom 2 release and Blitz release, like making sure that got out to retailers at a certain date was more paramount than making sure the cab was ready to actually be released at that time.
Yeah, obviously that a couple times that's happened, right? We got to rush that cab out before things, but quite honestly, that I forgive them more than anything, because that seems to be the MO of tech companies in this day and age anyway. Just make the quarter, get it out. Who cares if it's not finished? We'll fix it on the, we'll do it live. You know?
Can I swear here? Is it okay to swear?
Yeah,
I swear on YouTube now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I don't
F
stop.
it,
I
we'll
don't
do it
stop
live.
swearing. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So since the man of the hour has joined the chat, let's talk briefly about this. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's been talked about quite a bit. But since I was involved in this chat, I wanted to kind of boil it down for everybody as to kind of the key points that happened. And hopefully you can actually read it. I've cut them out and made them a little larger so people can see them. To boil it down to the key points, and then maybe something you missed because it was there for a second and then gone the next. That kind of goes into where some of these things came from, or at least where people's thought process went. And so, of course, we have the happy Juneteenth. So everyone's wondering what 1UP will release next. Well, rumor have it they're shipping a couple items in the next couple of weeks. What's coming is unexpected. And you'll never guess. And of course, then immediately somebody says, Miss Pac-Man. Don't know where that one might have come from. He says, well, that's partly true. John says, Miss Pac-Man is partly true. So in which part, right? And so, of course, I throw in Miss Pac-Man XL.
I told you that rumor was false. I all along.
And then, so then Patrick here says, send an emoji hint. And John says, let's see. Now, if you've seen this chat since then, you didn't see any emoji, but an emoji was posted. And so that's what was shared. And as almost the second it showed up, it disappeared.
Yeah.
And so, of course, my response is 4-player Pac-Man pub table. And where did I get that? Right? From our discussion on your show after, I had a questionable Pac-Man XL leak rumor, right? And you had kind of mentioned, hey, you were hearing that it's possibly some sort of Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man pub table or cocktail table or something like that.
Yeah.
So here you have a table with the obviously multicolored chairs, which, hat tip to John for so quickly finding a picture.
You're reading this all wrong. Like, James, like, you don't know John very well. So you're taking that as like a pub table. These are children's chairs, like little itty bitty children.
It's
Have you not put it
4-player
together
baby
yet?
cades?
It's not a 4-player. It's a Miss Pac-Man baby cade.
Oh, very well. That's perfect. And so obviously I jumped in with the Pac-Man. By the way, I like the baby cade. If you guys do go back to doing the contest on Super Game Room Dudes for the high scores, I'm totally going to flip that thing into easy mode because my kids have one up in their playroom and just rack up the scores because you can't die. And so here we go. John's response to that, right? I don't know if he misclicked this little emoji or not, but it's got the little guy holding up my response on the Pac-Man pub table. And of course, then you get into people saying, hey, Battle Royale. And they said that game was excellent, but here's where the XL came from, because there were some questions last night on, hey, where he doesn't say XL, he doesn't say new. Well, there's your XL right there on that little ball, right? That was obviously intentional. I'd take a Paw Patrol pub table. Actually, not. I'm sure that game is terrible. Have you played actually played the Paw Patrol one?
No.
Yeah, there's no way that's good. That's like made
for
specifically for them, right?
Yeah, I've gone outside the realm a couple times. Like I bought a partycade. The partycades are actually pretty good. I think the partycades are actually a viable product. It's just the price is a little bit high for them for
Yeah.
what they are. The countercades, I'm not a big fan of the countercades. I had a Miss Pac-Man one. Never really got into the other ones. I felt urges to get like, the Mortal Kombat one for a while and the Turtles one especially because I didn't have
Yeah.
Turtles anymore. But once I got the Quarter Arcades Turtles, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm probably honestly similar to you. I don't really care for either one of those form factors. I get why people like them, but they're just not for me. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm going for. The thing that I find frustrating is there are games on them that it would have been nice if they were not
Yeah.
exclusive, right?
Yeah.
There's some deep cuts on those that it would have been great to have on a 3/4 scale cab. Um, but yeah, those aren't my cup of tea either. I bought the baby cade because I have two little ones. They're now 3 and 4, but we put it in their game room so that they have one to play because I have one to play and kind of, you know, coaching them into the classics as it were. And so now they mostly play mine, but my son was actually up there playing on that baby cade today actually. But um so anyway, that's where the XL came from. I'm not going to belabor this too much. All the rest of this is out there, right? XL cocktail table or something. Kind of sorta. One is XL for sure. So battle royale, um and he says maybe with the question mark or the I don't know
Yeah,
kind of
so I,
emoji.
I think this is where the Pac-Man Battle Royal stuff came from
It
because
is.
I'm not into this chat. So what happened was Neo Hyper 64 wrote me and he was like, "Do you think John's telling the truth about
Yeah.
this Pac-Man Battle Royal?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's John. You don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you." But it goes back to the original list. So I was like, "Is this possible?" I mean, it's Arcade1up. Anything Pac-Man is possible, but I don't think what's coming out here is Pac-Man Battle Royal. I don't think that's possible. I had heard from John before, and like I don't know if he's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but John had mentioned a while back, and I had told you this 100% that I heard that Pac-Man XL wasn't coming; that it was going to be a class of '81 pub table or cocktail
Yeah.
table. So
And that's
that's
what makes the most sense to me.
yeah,
Is that it's a mashup type thing or rehash, like you said, uh, the class of '81 Miss Pac-Man with the Galaga, of course, everything else. But essentially the multiplayer Pac-Man, I think, is the right answer. I do think Battle Royale is probably a bridge too far. It's a very new game, right? Newish, like
well,
within the last decade.
the other thing too, I will say about Pac-Man Battle Royal, Jason makes a really good comment here. One of the things about the XL that might have been lip service from some people, might not been. I was always told that one of the reasons Arcade1up never made bigger cabs, specifically Pac-Man in the past and stuff, is because they didn't want to compete against Namco
Right.
because they were such good partners. And you got to remember, Namco still sells like Pac-Man Pixel Bash,
Oh
and
yeah.
I guess they're still selling this. You know, Pac-Man Battle Royale. But I mean, like to buy a Pac-Man Battle Royale from like a real arcade distributor, you're talking like tens
Oh,
of thousands
huge.
of dollars. I think. Like I don't think a at home version would really impact that, but I don't know. So maybe it is still too early to compete with that. I think this
Right.
is
Well, and
more likely it's Class 81. I believe John on that.
yeah. Yeah, and there was a championship edition of Battle Royale it's only like 2 years old, so it's brand new basically,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, it seems odd that that would come out, but I do see, you know, if you have a pub table with class of '81, you know, is it head to head or is it just take turns, right? So that seems like an interesting concept because you don't really have, I guess if it was a big cocktail table, it would just be two players. But if, those pub tables have four players on them, right? So seems interesting.
Could be a two-player pub table. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
four
it doesn't
people.
have to be, but
Yeah.
let's see. By the way, so yeah, so this is where the battle royale really came in, right? Was building off that. It's not huge leaps from that standpoint.
Yeah.
And let's see, basically this is where I just said, hey, if it's not an arcade accurate, it's not going to be received well, no matter what it is, basically. And then this is where John says, define new, essentially hinting that we're looking at some kind of rehash, right? Or re-release of an existing game. And then here's Neo, right? I'm assuming it's some variation on Pac-Man, so I guess I won't have to worry too much excitement. And John says, don't get your hopes up. I'm wondering how it'll be received. I know how it, and I lie, I know how it'll be received, he says. But I predict there will be an XL cab soon, and it's somewhat unexpected again. I don't know how it'll be received. Okay, and then this is where your video comes in, right? So somebody shared your video to the chat, right, which started its own thing. We won't go into that too much, but what I found interesting, right, is you talking about all the different things that you had heard, which is the kind of culmination of why I changed the thumbnail on this video, right, which was the interesting, crazy idea of a Golden Tee Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Which is just sounds completely insane to me.
Yeah. So there's
Let's skip all this.
there's been community rumors about Arcade1up doing another Golden Tee run,
right?
Going all the way back to the beginning of the year. There was, I can openly tell you that everything that we had heard pointed to them doing Star Wars XL. We thought that's the game that was coming. So much so that I felt comfortable because I was, I had to sell off everything because I didn't have the room anymore, selling my Star Wars. Because I was like, I'll just get the XL when it comes out. And Fox did the same thing. And then like a couple weeks later, we're like, yeah, they're not doing that now. They're doing Golden Tee. And we were like, what the hell? This is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So needless to say, when I heard you drop that one, I was just like, what in the hell? That sounds terrible. Right. And so I went and thought, I wanted to know, well, where did that rumor come from, like publicly, right? And so I looked and could not find anybody talking about this weird Golden Tee mashup, right? So I thought, hey, Michael B's obviously heard something, because who would in their right mind would ever like suddenly link into some weird like Class of 81 hybrid MK and Golden Tee? And I don't even know how you could get those two companies to play together, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, none of this stuff, like, we don't know if any of this stuff is ever going to see the light of day. These are rumors. This is stuff people in the community have heard. I mean, this stuff gets across to John. This stuff gets across to other people in the community. And then people are like coming to me and they're like, is there any truth to this? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Arcade1up's not giving me their like lineup for the next year. I mean, I don't even hear from Arcade1up anymore. I talk to Travis still, but I mean, like, he's not really telling me anything. There's not really much to talk about right now, from what I understand. So, in terms of this, I really do believe, like, the rumors keep persistent over and over again. It's like New Wave Toys with Golden Tee. I think Golden Tee XL is coming to Costco. I think that's going to be the XL at Costco this year, which sucks because, a lot of people already have it. They don't really want to buy it again, or, they're hoping for a new XL. But like this Mortal Kombat rumor, I was like, this is wild, but maybe it's there. I don't know. And it's not something that's for me, but somehow people like these collab cabs, like, Asteroids, Centipede, and they were all about Golden Tee, the bowling one. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense.
At least those are at least all the same companies. That to bring two completely disparate companies
That'd
together
be a challenge,
seems
right?
strange. Yeah. The literally in one ear and out the other. I don't know where. I was just gonna say something and don't know where it went. Anyway, I'll get back to it, I'm sure, at some point. I'm hopped up on the goofballs, I guess. But the interesting thing to me is, it was the XL, right? So if the XL comes and it is Golden Tee, do you think it'd be the same Golden Tee games, or do you think they'll actually do 4 this time? Given that Shiloh said they got the rights to 4, and just couldn't make it work. Do you think that Arcade1up would actually put Golden Tee 4 on instead of the regular Golden Tee?
No, I don't think Golden Tee. I don't know if they would go back and invest money into
And
developing a
doing it
new
something
game.
new?
Not right now. I mean, like Arcade1up, outside of uh, Time Crisis and Fast and Furious, which were long developed projects, they really haven't done anything new. So I
Right.
don't think they're in a place right now to do the development to get 4 working. And if I remember correctly, Shiloh said the reason why they couldn't get 4 working is the PCB had to have like extra power or something, or its own power source. It's like Back to the Future 2, where Marty McFly, his hoverboard stops over water. Hey, McFly, you need power. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they could get 4 working on their PCB, or I don't know if they'd invest the resources into adding 4 to the cabinet at this point. I think the focus will be more on using their existing licenses
Yeah.
and games they already have worked out, especially because it's not just developing the game. You got to develop the online infrastructure then, and then partnered, if it is going to be a collab cab, with other games they already have.
Yeah, I think if it is some kind of weird collab cab, right, it makes sense that it'll be the same
Yeah.
lineup we've seen, right? But if it is just a Golden TXL, you would think with the other XL just leaving the market a couple months ago, right? And Golden Tee Deluxe out there, seems really weird to just turn around and re-release it again. But
Yeah.
hey, you know, uh, Mortal T2. I'm kind of in favor of, what were you calling it? Golden Combat?
I didn't say that. None of that. All I said
You
was
said that as a joke, I think,
the
last
rumor
night.
going around that is that they're doing some kind of Golden Tee Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Now, I had heard a lot of rumors. It's the first time I heard this one.
Yeah.
I will be honest. It was the first time I heard this one.
It is a
I've
strange one.
I've heard Golden Tee XL coming back to Costco, but I've never heard this.
Yeah. I just liked the Golden Combat that you called it last night. I thought that was a clever name. If you're gonna
Well, that
name
was
it,
I got to give that to somebody in the community came up with that, not me.
Requires x86. So more horsepower. Why did you have to say that? Now I'm depressed.
Oh wait, that's because stock jocks like me, we want Robotron to come to Arcade1up.
Oh yeah,
it's because it's seeming like it's less and less likely as every day goes by. So
there's P-dubs. Wait, what is this? so with that, talking about
P-dubs, go to the Arcade1up website. Just gotta click through the links. All these were just announced.
They're all under the banner ads. That's why you couldn't see them.
You just gotta keep clicking.
Yeah.
And if they don't come up, refresh the page and then go through the banner ads again.
Yep. You just got to do it 1,000 times so Arcade1up can get its 37 cents. So that's the perfect transition, right? We just want the good cabs, the something new, to kind of jump in and talk about 19K Fox's video from today. And if you folks haven't seen it, I'll pause the show right now so you can go watch it. Just kidding. So definitely go watch 19K Fox's video. It's a good one. It's quick. And of course, over here on the right-hand side, he put out there a photo which seems to confirm that mythical list from the end of last year was at least legitimate at some point, right? So here's a prototype of 720 on the right from Arcade1up, and on the left is the actual arcade version for comparison. So what were your thoughts around this?
I love Fox, and I love that he made that video and made it as intriguing as possible. But just because they have a prototype doesn't mean the list was real. I mean, they had a Double Dragon 2 prototype, a Sonic prototype.
Oh yeah,
they have lots of prototypes of some stuff that'll never come to market. They build these things to see if they can do it, and then eventually it might be something that comes up. So that tie-in 720 And then the deluxe isn't necessarily a 1-for-1. I mean, that's not the kind of correlation I would make. Nothing against 19K Fox. Handsome Devil, obviously he's trying to make some interesting content, but just because they built it doesn't mean that it was ever even brought to retailers. We don't know that.
Yeah.
That's speculation. Now, I was very surprised because the minute that I saw 720 on the original list, I was like, that's bullshit. Arcade1up's never going to do this. And I shared the picture. So, I mean, this is a real prototype they've made. And I got to be honest with you, it's really badass. It looks
I know. I
really,
buy
really
it in a
cool.
second. I think it's so good. I don't know how you get closer to what was in the
I
arcade
am
than what they
shocked
did.
they did
Yeah.
such a good job with this.
The first question I had when I saw it was, how the hell would they ship this thing? Because the box has got to be enormous. Like, it doesn't seem to be like something that'll break down as easily as some of the
Oh, well,
deluxes do.
all the stuff, like, I don't know how it's done. I don't know if they build it and then it's engineered for packing. I can't answer you on that, but
Yeah.
yeah. The other thing that was really weird in 19K Fox's video is uh, I'm not familiar with 720 that much. Like, I'm familiar with 720, the NES game, but like, who is 720? Which company made 720?
Maybe Jason can answer that because he seems to know all those. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Because like that button layout, like Fox said in his video, I mean, that's 100% like a Mortal Kombat configuration, but not really. Because if it was a Mortal Kombat configuration, uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean, you would have a 6 button in there, but it'd be down there. So
Yeah, so
Atari.
John
Yeah.
says Atari,
Yeah,
right? So
and it's funny. It's funny too because I should have known this was Atari because this is very similar to the Return of the Jedi cab. If you ever get a chance to look that up, 720 is like identical almost to the Return of the Jedi.
yeah.
So, and that was another thing I was like, they'll never do Return of the Jedi because it's too weird a cab to make. But here we are.
Yeah, so clearly, like, the original 720 doesn't have all these buttons. I think it's got one, right? It's like there, yeah, I think it's one. It's the kick button, and then you jump off the curbs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So this
Atari
has got to
games.
be, yeah,
John saying Atari games eventually Midway.
yeah,
So if it's Midway, it could be Mortal Kombat.
yeah, but with that one stick, like, so I can see it being like, I think I saw somebody said Tubin, right? There may be some,
Yeah, you
know,
could put Tubin on that 100%.
I wonder would Bubbles play on that? uh,
I, I don't know. I don't know about the stick and Bubbles, but I know that Bubbles doesn't use a regular joystick. Bubbles has a unique joystick itself, I think.
yeah, so it's I really struggled with what games. It's clearly got to be button games, right? Other
I don't know.
than,
I have
because it
no
seems
idea.
really odd with these 6 buttons on here.
I have no idea. There's one person who could answer this.
Oh yeah.
If this was a prototype, it
Oh,
was
this guy.
it was obviously at one point someone worked on licensing, and John's licensing bled into also choosing which games went on which cabinet or suggesting it. So
Yes. So Paperboy, would this be a better stick for Paperboy than the one on Mortal Kombat? No.
uh, Paperboy should only be played one way.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're not playing the console game. If you're playing the console game,
Yeah, it works fine
have at
on
it.
the
Yeah.
NES and stuff, but
Yeah.
it does not work on that Mortal Kombat cab. John says no, Atari Games was its own entity that was sold to Williams and later bought by Midway, then Warner Brothers.
And the WB.
New Wave Toys made a 720. It would be cool if you could remove the boombox and it has a Bluetooth speaker. So the 720 spinner. So my thought process on this has always been, since this was rumored, that you would just use the 48-way or 49-way joystick out of Blitz. It's magnetic, it's free moving. That wouldn't be the exact same motion, but seems like it would at least get the job done. But it's probably some kind of weird spinner under there. I don't know.
I think this is neat. Like,
Oh, yeah.
knowing the way I am, if I had unlimited room and this came to market, even though I'm not familiar with the game, I would tell people I'm not going to get it. I don't have any nostalgia for the game. Then I would see how cool it is. Then I would get
Oh,
FOMO. Then I would end up buying it up, buying it, and telling everybody it's a showpiece. I had to have it.
yeah. So I would buy. I actually really like 720. I think the concept is cool. The way they did it. It's one of my favorite skating games. So I would have bought this the second it was announced. Unfortunately, they'd have got me on a pre-order there, so it should come with
Would you have bought it? Would
a
you have bought
hat.
it? Like, would you have bought it if they announced it and you were like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited," and then they were like, $749.
I bought Blitz. This is one I would buy. They could probably because I would imagine looking at it, it would have to be up there, 699 or 700 plus or whatever.
I don't
I'd have
know.
bought it.
I have no idea what it would cost.
If they had done Mortal Kombat as the pro, I'd have paid $1,000 for that without even thinking about it. I
Yeah,
wasn't gonna do it for KI. That's not a game I care about.
yeah, I think there's a lot of problems with that KI release. That's why I did a stream on it last week.
I know. I watched it. Yeah. But I think like you do something right and it's the right game, like people will pay for it. You look at all the people willing to shell out nearly $1,400 for a Nova Blast. Like,
Direct to
yeah,
consumer. This is something that I think would have done very well for Arcade
yeah,
One Up. Depending on how many they would have to make, because their direct to consumer has always come up short in terms of what they expected. Like whatever it was, I don't know if they've ever sold out a direct to consumer. Maybe Marvel superheroes might have been the only time, but it's always come up short. Burger Time, Dragon's Lair, Killer Instinct Pro always came up short. So it
yeah.
would have to be a very small batch because I don't think there's that many dedicated people willing to buy it. This would never get to retail.
Oh no, not a chance.
Not a single
Nah.
retailer. Walmart, Best Buy, like the only retailer that might get it, Shop Hippo. Shop Hippo would be like, it's so cool. But like
Yeah,
everybody,
but now all those
everybody
time
else,
prices are
yeah.
showing up at other retailers, right? So it's
Well,
like
I don't know
at
what
least
retailers
one.
are showing up at, but Shop Hippo, as seen on TV, also has the ability to sell on other retailer
Yeah.
websites. So like they can sell on Walmart. That's how like some of their stuff showed up here in Canada.
Yep. The um geez, my brain is just not. It's too late. I gotta stop doing these late like night streams.
Addicted to Arcade One Up, that's MVC2 did sell out really quickly, but there was a very small batch that they put up on their website, and more were coming out later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean the whole direct to consumer thing is always gonna just dumbfound me that they don't do that in this day and age when there are so many service businesses that will handle almost every aspect of this for them.
I don't think it
Um,
makes sense for them. And again, we don't know the economics of all this
right,
stuff. I've heard a couple times that to bring a new cab out with your licensing, because this is not a multi-cade that you just put hard on and doesn't matter,
right.
you're not paying any licensing fees. Like they've got to pay licensing fees, all that stuff. That in order to make money from actually selling one of these cabs, you got to get up into the quantity part. So the quantity part is
Yep.
3,000, 4,000, and actually to make money, they can't go out and pay the licensing fees, the development fees, everything that, because it's not just everybody's like the cab shit. It's press board and it's put together and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
There's so many
It's
costs that
massive.
we don't understand with, in terms of licensing, getting the art and stuff like that. So in order for them to make it profitable with their margins, I've been told they need to sell like 3 to 10,000 cabs. So they can do direct to consumer, but if the expected return is 500 cabs, it might not be worth their time, right?
Right, right. But that's the great thing about Kickstarters, right? You set a goal of minimum 3,000 or whatever the
Yeah,
price
I've
point
always
is.
wonder why they didn't do
Yeah,
that. Some
and
kind
if
of
you don't get it, you don't
model.
get it. And then you can say, "There you go, community, shut up. You had a chance to get it. You chose not to."
I think they're afraid to fail
Yeah.
because how does that look for the organization? You're going to get a million YouTubers making videos like Arcade One Up's Kickstarter failed. They're failures. Watch my
Yeah,
video.
and you're always dealing with somebody else's property, right?
Yeah.
Your their license, which is
Because
a
it
danger in and of
impacts, like, what
itself.
does that do with your relationship with
Yeah.
with the license holder then? Because you go to Capcom and you're like, we're gonna make a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs cab, And Capcom's like, yeah, we'll take a risk on this whole pre-order thing, Kickstarter. Then it fails. It makes it look like you're an unreliable host. And
Oh yeah.
maybe like the way licensing works is it's not like you can put that licensing on retainer. Like you have to have everything signed off
Yeah.
on and agreed to before you can even advertise you're going to possibly do a cab.
100%. The one of the things I've been, because I, you know, watched 19K Fox's video where he turned his MK Deluxe into KI, right? Or his KI2 cab. So I've been thinking about doing the opposite, since it doesn't seem Arcade1up is going to deliver us a XL Mortal Kombat. Do you
Yeah.
buy the KI Pro and make it a Mortal Kombat Pro?
You could just really quickly. I know this is off topic, but there's a comment here from Kevin Clausen at 12:45, at my time, anyways, and he says, "I call truce. We don't understand the economics, and they don't understand 80s arcades.
Yeah.
Nothing could be better put." Also, I wanted to say happy belated birthday to our buddy Kevin Clausen, and nothing says happy birthday like this $2 super chat to Kevin Clausen. Happy birthday, Kevin.
There you go. Kevin Wong says that's why you do prepay. Don't have the quantity and move. Yeah, I think that all goes back to the same exact problem.
Yeah.
There you go. So I think we're bumping up here against the let me get this stupid thing off the screen. Bumping up here against the time slot, and I'm sure everybody's chomping at the bit to see what this what beans Danny and Katie plan to spill all over the cornercade.
I will say, like, I've been watching, and like I mentioned it in my video talking about the rumors. I don't know if it's because it's hot. I don't know if it's because it's people are bored, and it's just like we're not used to Arcade1up not talking to us so long. People have been coming up with silliness. Like, I love PD7, but I watched a video from him the other day. It was like, Punisher's back. Are we gonna get a Marvel Superheroes cap? I was like, how can you come to that conclusion? Where did that come from?
I think he's just really wishful thinking, right?
He's such a nice
he's
guy, man. He's so
manifesting
excited.
once,
I love
right?
it.
So he's gonna
Yeah.
put it out into the ether and hope that
I just saw it and I was like, what? Where did this come from? Marvel Superheroes Deluxe.
Yeah, honestly, I was shocked even to see Capcom do it at all, because the way Disney wants Punisher to just go away, right?
No, I actually got some explanation on this, and people can believe whatever they want to
Yeah.
believe. Said it on Super Game Room Dudes last night. 2 classifications: video game classification, Punisher's okay. Toy classification, which
Oh
Arcade
yeah.
1up falls under, not okay. That's why we won't see Punisher show up anymore on Arcade 1up. In my video, I keep getting people writing me being like, Punisher was on the Marvel Superheroes cab, so they had Punisher. I'm like, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, nothing new.
I owned it. I owned all the cabs.
No, what I mean is, even I get that made it safe to license it as a retro game or whatever,
Yeah.
but they don't even in the comic, he doesn't use guns anymore. They've gotten rid of the iconic logo. Like
What?
they oh yeah, they are trying to kill off like what the historic Punisher is. Like Marvel
Oh, that's
Punisher
not
is
good.
bad because he's a vigilante, he uses guns. Like Marvel doesn't want any part of that classic
That's
Punisher
not good at
anymore.
all.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the Disney Plus series will be when that actually, if it ever actually comes to
It's like that
fruition.
Die Hard movie Bruce Willis wanted to do, where he was like, "I don't want to use guns." Well, there's no point in having a Die Hard movie, Bruce. I don't know how to tell you this.
Yeah, it's just it's
Do you
strange.
remember that rumor about Bruce Willis's Die Hard movie in the
Vaguely,
jungle with no guns?
yeah, vaguely. It honestly, it reminds me of the silliness of like Kevin Costner and Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
Like he has a writer in there that he can't die in a certain way, like, and all this stuff, and then he gets all mad and quits the show. Which, now what's the point? But
Yeah.
people, those, they get popular and they start putting all kinds of weird stuff in there. Like, I don't know if you ever see the story behind Superman 4, or with the it was
The Nick Cage Superman?
No, Superman 4, the one with the God, what's it called? The one with the he throws all the nuclear missiles into the sun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it that was like Canon Films did, right? And they had no money for special effects or anything. But they only were able to make that movie because um what the hell's his name? Christopher Reeves, right? He wanted to do a Superman where Superman went around and got all the nuclear weapons on Earth and removed them. And because that's what he wanted to do, Canon's like, okay, we'll make that movie. And just so that they could make it. That's why it's
How
as
could they have
terrible as it
no
is.
money for Superman? Superman 3 was incredible.
Oh, I know, but the original company didn't want to do it. And Canon Films, right? They're American Ninja and
Oh
Delta
man.
Force and Death Wish 2, 3, 4, 5.
Don't
And
talk about that.
Breakin'
I
and Breakin'
loved the
2.
American Ninja movies when I was a kid, man. That was a
Oh,
constant
I
rental at
watched
my
all of
house.
them, but they're not exactly like feats of cinema perfection, right? These were movies that they made for literally like, $1 million and just
Yeah,
shoved them
but
out as fast as
some
they
of
could.
those are the best
I
movies,
know it.
man. I mean, I used to be like a what you would call a
They made
cinephile.
Masters of the
Like
Universe.
I remember watching like American Beauty, and I was like, I could pick it apart. And I used to be like big on the Oscar movies. And
Yeah.
at one point, I was like, I don't give a shit about any of this anymore. I'm watching Van Damme Hard Target. That's the movie I'm watching from now on. Like I don't give a
It's
shit about like I
they
don't want a
discovered
powerful
Van
movie.
Damme.
I don't want an Oscar movie. I just want really stupid shit. And a lot of times it's old stupid shit. That's all I want to watch. I don't want a purpose. I don't want a message. I just want to relax, have fun, and watch some of
Oh,
the
yeah.
dumbest stuff in the world that'll turn
And
my brain
that
on.
is exactly what Canon Films was, and it
Perfect.
it was perfect, right? They did
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe, Superman 4, again, Breakin' 2, The Electric Boogaloo. It doesn't get any better than that. So if you're actually interested in that, there's a documentary which it's free on YouTube now these days called Electric Boogaloo: The Story of Canon Films. It is excellent. Don't watch it with any kids around because Canon Films is like 90% nudity, and there's a ton of it in the documentary. But it is very interesting. Yeah, Cobra. That was their biggest movie. They spent all this money to
Still
get
over Cobra.
Sly to do
Yeah.
Cobra. Yeah, uh,
Canon Films.
yeah. It's Electric
Doc.
Boogaloo is the the title.
There it is. Wild Untold Story of Canon
Yeah,
Films.
it's fantastic. It's really good.
Nice.
It's crazy, like the whole history of that company. So any closing thoughts before we shut things down and head over
Again,
to the cornercade?
again, like I said in my video, and any rumors you're hearing right now, I mean, and like you said, did I do a leak? I didn't do a leak. I talked about a rumor, right? A rumor that's going around the community, and you're saying I can't see the source. Like this is something John heard mentioned to me. This is something I heard from somebody else. That's about it. There's no leak. There's no information, right? Like right now, the only people with any information are Arcade1up and possibly Travis, and they aren't talking to anybody. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll get any information other than, you're going to get some weird TikTok message and it'll be like, watch for a dope drop on Arcade1up tomorrow, yo. And then we're all going to be like, I'm 50. I don't care.
Yeah, so I'll admit, very clickbaity, thumbnail there. That was intentional, right? But so I do definitely
So,
appreciate you coming on.
so yeah, that third strike at Evo, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, this guy, Gotham City Arcade, shared that in the Arcade1up Canadian fan page. I mean, that goes back to the original list. They still work with Capcom. That's totally possible. I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be a pro. I don't know where the pro stuff was coming from, but like a deluxe, if they still have the relationship with Capcom, that's 100% possible.
Yeah, I think it comes from a few different places, right? So obviously that photo of
Yeah.
the HS5 popped back up, so it's a combination of that. Evo having the only retro game at Evo is Street Fighter Third Strike. So there's a lot of, hey, I ideated on it months ago saying, hey, Cyrus likes to do these joint marketing opportunities, whether it's Fast and Furious or X-Men 97,
Oh
like
no! I
releasing
wouldn't.
them with the cab.
I wouldn't put much weight into that. Like we
No,
used
it was
to think
just
about
a
that stuff in the
ideation.
past, right?
Yeah.
We'd be like, oh man, maybe there's an Alien movie coming out this year, so they do
Yeah.
Alien versus Predator. I think we're so far past that. I don't even know how anything works with Arcade1up right now. I think it's 100%. 100%, whatever the retailers want at this point. This is
Yeah.
what we're stuck with. The money comes from the retailers. They pre-sell to the retailers. That's how the cabs get made, and that's what we see.
Oh yeah, 100%. What Jason says, Street Fighter 3 won't outsell SF2. What's better, Street Fighter 3 or Street Fighter Alpha? Or what if we're both
I would do Street
cab?
Fighter Alpha over Street Fighter Third Strike personally.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more played than Street Fighter 3, but Street Fighter 3 will at least be not that.
Oh,
Alpha's
I
not
like the
new.
idea of what was suggested this year. You do one cab that's like a beat 'em up action game cab,
Yeah.
then you do another cab that's all fighters, like with the Street Fighter Alpha Third Strike games on it. Maybe throw some Darkstalkers in
Yeah,
there.
that
I
would
think
be
that's
awesome.
a great idea. It's one of the ones where if we get a Capcom now, it's always going to be Street Fighter, right? Because that's the brand that sells. But I'd love to see something different. I'd love to see
an
a
all
Final
shooter
Fight
cab
right?
on.
Yeah.
I would love a Capcom shooter cab or something like that, or like Strider and Ghosts and Goblins and all that stuff on the same thing.
Yeah.
Alrighty, with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. So I have no idea how to make it just automatically go to another channel, so I did not do that. So if you guys want to watch Cornercade, you're just going to have to click on over there yourselves. But definitely go check it out. He's got a can of beans him and his wife want to spill all over. So
I've heard it. Like I don't understand it. I don't know. I don't like honestly. You show that image from like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, except it's Miss Cornercade with all the pins all over the board. It's like that's what's happening. Apparently, it's one of these. So we'll see.
sorry, his stream just started, so it was going off in my ear. That
his stream started. I'm supposed to be on it. I'm not even ready. All right, I gotta go.
All right. Take it easy, everybody. Until next time, have fun.